After around 8 hours, I 100% Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion, so let's discuss whether this game based on the popular TV show is worth playing. Pirates of the Enchiridion has Jake and Finn attempting to find out who flooded Ooo and stop those responsible. The narrative is basic but has heart due to the voice actors of the show reprising their iconic roles. The writing is also extremely strong as it highlights a lot of good humor that the show is known for. The issue is that the narrative's payout is extremely underwhelming, and the iconic characters such as Princess Bubblegum, Flame Princess, and Prismo serve as glorified quest givers instead of profound additions, and the finale just lacks any real impact. Considering how intricately designed Adventure Time episodes usually are, with hundreds of YouTube channels discussing the themes and meanings behind them, Pirates of the Enchiridion feels underwhelming even as a filler episode. Even with the title, it doesn't accurately convey the entire narrative. The Enchiridion barely plays a role within the game. It's a real shame considering how the developers attempted to recreate the presentation atmosphere of the Adventure Time universe, especially considering the high pedigree that this IP usually has among the fan base. This is an incredible TV show, and to have a game that has such lackluster quality in its narrative is very disappointing. Pirates of the Enchiridion is a turn-based RPG set in the flooded Ooo, initially promises exciting exploration by boat during a calamity. However, the experience proves shallow, with monotonous fetch quests forming the bulk of the uninspired side content and main content. Even Prismo, a powerful being, is regulated to offering similar objectives. The game ultimately presents a largely empty world with disappointing exploration, especially if you're a fan of the show and you look around and you see what could have been. The turn-based combat is an interesting system at first. You start with Finn and Jake and eventually recruit Marceline and Bimo. Each of them have unique abilities, such as Jake serving as the tank of the group, Finn and Marceline being damage dealers, and Bimo as support. You'll gain new abilities by exploring Ooo, with these talents locked behind hidden chests that you find throughout the world. Characters each have unique limit breaks that charge, and you can use them during combat at any time, such as Jake dealing damage to every enemy, Finn dealing heavy damage to one target, Marceline turning into a werewolf that you can't control but will deal heavy damage, similar to Vincent from Final Fantasy VII, and Bimo boosting all special abilities within the party for a few turns. In addition, Marceline and Bimo have unique abilities, with Marceline able to recover a small portion of her health, and Bimo being able to charge the team's special meter greatly instead of having to wait individual turns. Unfortunately, for those wanting Princess Bubblegum to be on a team like myself, you can't recruit her, which was personally very disappointing for me. The combat system has all the traditional flares of an RPG, status effects, but with the Adventure Time lore, effective and ineffective attacks, and so on. However, combat can get incredibly tedious as you go through the game, as it lacks meaningful challenge. Once you have a full party, enemies are just timed obstacles instead of challenges. Since players can use one item per turn and perform an action, this makes combat easy and very slow. Everything feels like it's running at half speed, but given the game's technical issues such as the sound cutting out, 3D models popping in and crashing, perhaps this was intentional due to the game's very janky feel. Leveling is basic. You earn experience and gain levels, with the maximum being level 10. You'll upgrade your character by earning money in battle, completing side quests, or just breaking stuff in the overworld. Then you invest the money into basic stats or special abilities. Since you're constantly going to need money for leveling and purchasing items, so be prepared for a lot of annoying grinding. It can become extremely repetitive. Granted, it's not that large given that the game is only around 6 hours long, but still it is noticeable and clearly done to extend the life of this very short experience. Exploration fails to capitalize in Oo's expansive lore. Despite unique character abilities that aid in traversal, Jake being able to transform into a motorcycle for faster travel or expand his size in order to get to higher ledges for very exact platforming challenges, Marceline's invisibility ability for puzzle sections to remain undetected for some reason because you could just easily fight the enemy, so I don't really know why this is even here, and Bimo being able to unlock certain computerized doors, but everything just feels very, very slow. This sluggishness affects both on land and boat travel, extending even to the map navigation where your cursor moves even slower for some reason. I don't really understand why everything is so slow in this game. Fast travel isn't even available, which I don't understand why. because getting to the Fire Kingdom is such an annoyance. Once you access the area, they just keep the same barriers in and around the kingdom, so it's just a very annoying process to go back and forth, and I'm pretty sure this was done just to extend the bloat of the game. When you need to get information from an important character, Finn and Jake will enter into an interrogation scene with a comedic good cop versus bad cop routine, and it's definitely amusing to see both of the friends contrasting their approaches. Even though the game tells you what to do, if you fail you can just retry again, and once you do it correctly you'll be rewarded with money and items. It's a funny scene and it really plays on the strengths of the writing. It's just the overall story that's extremely poor, almost like the writers were writing the story but never had an end goal in mind, so they just put one together at the last minute. This doesn't mean everything is terrible in this game. You can tell the developers did have some inventive ideas, such as how Prismo's time room rotates and distorts, the lighthearted writing that mirrors the quality of the show, and the authentically designed world. It just feels like a fast food burger. The picture looks amazing on the menu, but when you taste it, it doesn't really complement the image that you're watching. So you can see that the developers did want to make something, but because of maybe budgetary constraints, which is a bit surprising considering that they got the literal voice actors from the show to play their parts. I'm not really sure what happened here. Maybe it was development and management, but either way you can see there is heart here. It's just very poorly executed. Pirates of the Enchiridion, despite its promising adventure time, atmosphere, and voice acting, just ultimately falls short. The gameplay suffers from being dull, tedious, and just very slow, leading to a disappointing and pointless finale. The writing itself isn't that bad and the voice acting is spectacular, but given the popularity of the series, the game fails to meet up to the quality that this show should be meeting, making this adventure even more of just a complete disappointment, especially among dedicated fans who love the Adventure Time universe.
Probably moved on to her next weird thing by now. You should watch out for stray pirates, though. As for the rest of it, if Fern was heading for the Fire Kingdom, now might be a good time to check it out.
Yeah, now that BMO's back with us, we should be able to sail there no sweat. Well, until we get there, I guess.
Ready to navigate, Captain Finster.
All right, let's get back to the boat.